I work in a seasonal Halloween store. You probably know the one I'm talking about. We typically pop up in the plazas or mall fronts that are run down in your small town. We show up for about 2 months, and then we're gone. It's not a bad job. I'm able to work around my school schedule, and as a Halloween fanatic, it's pretty neat. I've done this enough where I've been able to become the key holder / shift lead. We get all kinds of customers. Small kids looking for costumes, adults looking for party decorations, dads going all out to make their houses the spookiest spot on the block, etc. I've done this a couple of seasons now. I was never surprised. Until lately. It started as a normal day. I was fronting all of the decorations and putting back the costumes that people haphazardly put in the wrong place. I was scarfing down a frozen burrito on my lunch break when I saw him come in. This dude, he had to be about 6'6". He was wearing an orange jumpsuit and had on a mask. And this mask was very elaborate. It was pale gray, bluish. The eyes were hollow and blacked out, so mesh hiding his eyes. The lips were stitched. So this isn't out of the ordinary. People do this pretty often. They dress up, come in a shop, and try to get a reaction out of some kids or record TikToks. Gotta look at this jag-off, I told Penn. It was just me and him closing the store. We had one of those relationships where we weren't a couple, but everyone wondered why, and I think we wondered why too. Yeah, that guy sure is scary. His mask is a winner. I've never seen it online or in any other store. The man casually browsed some of our decorations, and I let him be. He came for attention, and I wasn't going to validate him. Not until he walked through some of our displays where we have the animatronics, a vibrating floor, and a fog machine. It's really just a fun walkthrough for kids to get a quick spook in. Well, a small boy was walking through, already nervous, and this man jumped into the path and let out a mighty laugh. The boy screamed and ran to his mother, leaving behind a puddle that I'd have to clean. I went to confront the man and ask him to leave, but before I could, the child's mother came up to me and gave me an earful. I apologized even though I had done nothing wrong, gave the kid a costume and sent them out. Suddenly, the man was gone. I walked back to the register and put on some campy horror movie that sits at the TV by the register. I started talking to Penn about classes I was taking and was going to invite him on a date. Well, 2 ladies walked in that I happened to recognize from around the college. They went to the sexy costume aisles and grabbed about 3 or 4 costumes apiece. Penn guided them to the private changing rooms that we keep available. He came back and had a smirk on his face. Sexy cats, Playboy bunnies, nurses, and poison ivy. How original. We both let out a chuckle, and I had built the courage. Hey, when we get out of here, do you want to catch one of those midnight showings at the drive-in? I can swing by the house and grab some snacks and set the truck up for optimal viewing. He bit his lip, looked at the ground, and then at me. He bust out laughing and then punched me in the shoulder. Heck yeah, I'll go on a date with you, he said. I felt on top of the world. He went to help a horror dad look at the yard decorations while I was having my celebration internally. I went to put in a new CD in the store PA when we heard a woman screaming. Penn and I took off as fast as we could toward the changing rooms. The tall masked man had ripped open one of the changing room doors and threw a gallon of fake blood all over one of those girls while she was changing costumes. Penn quickly grabbed one of the ponchos we saw and covered the crying girl. Her friend heard the commotion and came out of her stall, helping Penn lead the girl into the staff bathroom to get the fake blood out of her eyes and attempt to clean her up. I was livid. I quickly raced to the man and yelled, "Hey, perv! I don't know what your game is, but you have to leave now!" Another customer chirped in, "Hey, step away from him. The police are on their way." The man turned and stormed off out the entrance doors. Some minutes later, local PD came out. I talked with them while Penn gathered the woman's street clothes. I told the officers all I knew and pulled up what security camera footage I could. But all of it was really useless. I mean, the dude was in a costume. I have no true description of him other than him being tall. We did see that he pulled off in an old Ford Festiva, but we couldn't make out the plates. He'd parked away far enough that the footage was grainy. The officers spoke with the 2 women and went on their way. I gathered up the mop to go clean up the mess that the man had made. Closing time came around, and Penn told me he was heading out. It was my job to do closing operations such as security codes and counting the tills at the end, so I told him I'd be leaving in an hour and would swing by the house to get the truck ready and pick him up. He gave me a small kiss on the cheek and left. I quickly went to the office and counted the money and locked the office on my way out. Heading to the front door, I noticed another spill. Great, more punk kids and fake blood, back near the changing rooms again. I figured some kid made off to play while some parent wasn't paying attention. I opened the curtain, and my stomach dropped. Pen lay there in a pool of blood, mouth bubbling and tears falling from his face. He managed to look past me before he grew silent. I quickly called DMT and told them that there was a murder. First responders would be on the way, but it would take them at least 10 minutes. I felt 2 hands on my shoulder, and then I was flung into a display of pitchforks and sling blades. Looking up, my eyes met him. The man with the mask. He sat on me and put his hands around my throat. I could see his tongue licking the stitches while I was reaching for anything I could find. There was nothing in my reach, but I put my hands on his face. The mask felt like real skin. I managed to put my thumbs closer to his eyes, and in a moment of pure instinct, I jammed my thumbs into his eyes. The mesh broke, and I was able to get a pretty good hit there. However, it only lasted a second, but it was enough to clear my airway and swipe his ankle on my way out from under him. I took off to the front door to escape, only to find it locked. I banged on the door until my hand bled, and I ran into one of our walkthroughs, hoping I could wait it out until maybe the cops could bust in. I curled into a corner and held my breath. Minutes later, I could hear the man whistling and laughing as he checked in containers. He made his way into the encampment I had burrowed into and triggered some lights and fog. Doing so set off an animatronic witch. She began to rock back and forth, and it exposed me. He saw me and pulled out his knife. He put his hands on me while I managed to knock the witch over as he pulled me out. She fell against him. She wasn't heavy, but it was just enough resistance I could run. At this point, I saw the blue lights and police working on opening the door. They barely had it cracked, and I burst out crying. They stormed into the area but couldn't find the killer. EMT examined me, and I was stable enough to go home. They checked in on Penn. But it was too late. He had been gone the moment I was with him. Be safe this season. And watch out for people in costumes.